is Kurt Kilwein. I'm the oldest son of Steve Kilwein. This is his house. He was doing some fairly serious remodeling. Basically, we're not really standing in a house, we're standing in a construction project. This is the first time somebody who's not a police officer or my brother has been in here in, let's see, 1 year, 1 month, 2 weeks, and 3 days. My father was murdered in this house about 11 o'clock Sunday morning. Nobody saw anything. There were no witnesses. Nobody heard anything. He was supposed to not be here that day that he died. He was supposed to be in Denver, but he had a doctor's appointment that got moved that he'd been waiting for several weeks. Was it somebody just walking by? So a lot of crazy people. Bozeman is not the Bozeman that I knew in the late 80s. Somebody who would walk into a house on a Sunday morning, murder somebody, and walk out, probably covered in blood. Will they do it again? Have they done it again? I don't know.
Deep, deep, dark and overgrown. Breathe underwater on your own. Nothing seems to shift, the ocean or the cliff. Oh, give me a sign and I will throw you a line. Something got you started now. Something got you started now. But you keep your head down. Ah.
Our dad, Steve Kilwein, was amazing. He loved family more than anything else.
The word that mostly describes our growing up would be laughter. There's always laughter and joy.
I was blessed to have him as my dad. He was loving, he was caring, he was the most generous person.
He would do anything for us, and he was our biggest cheerleader. He's the kind of person that talked to anybody. We always used to laugh if we went out for lunch. He'd suddenly be sitting with somebody at the table next to us talking, and he would find this common bond with somebody. And
I mean, anyone would walk past his house, and if he was outside, he would strike up a conversation with them.
he was just trusting of the world.
He was not involved in anything that would have caused somebody to go in his house and murder him.
It was Sunday, June 13th. I had spoken to my father the night before. We laughed and we chuckled, and I kind of had to hurry him off the phone. I said, "Dad, I'll call you tomorrow. I love you, Dad." And I hung up with him. The next day, I tried FaceTiming him. He didn't answer. I was like, okay, well, maybe my dad didn't hear the phone. I'll try again. I was like, I didn't worry about it too much, but something just didn't feel right, because I was like, it's the middle of the day. I felt he should have answered.
We have a family chat message, and somebody, I don't even remember which one of us siblings, asked, "Has anyone talked to Dad today?" We're all like, no, he hasn't replied, he hasn't responded.
talking to my sisters and my brother, and nobody has talked to him, and that's unusual. Somebody talks to him every day, usually 2 or 3 of us every day. And he wasn't picking up the house phone, he wasn't picking up the cell phone. We just didn't know where he was. So we're starting to get a little panicked.
There must have been 100 messages from all of us, calling, texting. It weighed heavy. You know, we were like, he maybe tripped. You know, he was 79 years old, maybe he tripped and fell.
So then we decided to call and have a welfare check done.
We called the police and they showed up, and yeah, he was dead. He was actually dead in front of that refrigerator in a big pool of blood.
I was in disbelief. He couldn't have been gone. I just talked to him. It couldn't be.
You know, we said what happened, and they said, well, the coroner is here and they'll call you later. About 2, 3 in the morning, we did get a call from the coroner who told us that he had been electrocuted, which, you know, all of us were shocked because he'd been a contractor and in construction for 50 years,
Yeah.
55 years.
More than that,
Yeah.
The police initially said he was electrocuted. Well, the only exposed wires in the house are these wires right here. All they do is turn that light on and off. How could he have wound up over there, electrocuted, completely torn up, if what he did was touch those wires? It didn't make any sense to us, and then it turned out it didn't make any sense to whoever was doing the autopsy.
Tuesday morning, I got a text from a detective. During that conversation, they were asking questions that did not gel at all with somebody who's electrocuted. And for some reason, I don't know why, I said, are you telling me that somebody did something to him? And he said, yes, that's what we're looking at now.
My dad was murdered on June 13th of 2021. Somebody made the choice that I no longer get to have my father. My son no longer has his grandfather.
The news is just something you just never, ever, ever expect to hear, much less for your 79-year-old father who, you know, was not involved in anything bad in any way, shape, or form.
I flew up here, my brother flew up here. The front door was busted in. The door to the bedroom was busted.
Was there a lot of blood when you
Yes,
came in?
yes. Including they tracked it around a bit, and yeah.
We don't know the murder weapon. We didn't know what caused his death until we got the death certificate, which noted multiple chop-type wounds.
The death certificate says chopping. You can chop with a lot of things. Cleaver, axe, hatchet. Oh my God, there's so many hammers here. In fact, I mean, there's a hammer right here that has you know, you could chop somebody with this. I mean, there's just so many things like that laying around here because it's construction.
We knew nothing during the time of the funeral, and we were told to bring a hat to make sure he had clothes that went up to his neck. But it made us think there was something here, maybe his chest.
And they were concerned at one point that we would not be able to have an open casket.
As far as we can tell, this happened at 11:20, according to the death certificate, on a Sunday. He lives next door to a church. Church was going on. People were walking. He lives in a historic part of downtown Bozeman. It's busy.
Was it robbery? I don't know. If it was, maybe it didn't go the way they wanted it to. He just sold a Suburban for like $2,400 cash. It was in his wallet, you know, sitting in his bedroom. So if somebody really was robbing him, you think $2,400 cash would be, you know, in a wallet full of credit cards, would have been a pretty good, tempting prize.
As far as we know, there was nothing missing.
He was remodeling, so there was construction tools. His wallet was not taken.
The detectives have been fantastic. Everybody was just working, Everybody was working many, many hours.
They are diligently working on it, and they are trying.
We don't know the details.
But the detectives do. Yeah. They know a lot more than they can share with us because it's an ongoing investigation. They reassured us that there's still evidence out there being processed.
We're not publicizing his murder. We're trying to solve his murder. But how do you do that? There are a lot of situations you can improve by throwing money at them. There's a $100,000 reward sitting in a Wells Fargo checking account. I'll write the check tomorrow. Just tell us who did this thing.
If you know anything, I would beg that you come forth. My dad talked about how he wanted to walk Holden to kindergarten. And that will never happen. He wasn't there to see my son start school. My son still cries. And my son doesn't know that Grandpa was murdered. He just knows that he's gone.
If you're watching this, I don't know how you could have taken our dad from us. I mean, he was so active for a 79-year-old man. He was so loved. He was so caring. I can't believe you did this. You need to be in prison for the rest of your life.
How dare you take him from us? How dare you? This is the man who sat for hours watching our children play sports and do musicals and graduate from middle schools and elementary schools and high schools and colleges. Our younger brother just had twins who will never know their grandfather.
I mean, you don't want to make everybody panicked, but there's somebody out there right now who did that, and they're probably still in Bozeman. And I don't know, is it the guy in front of you at the grocery store? I don't know.
This is now a cold case. It's been more than a year. In Bozeman, there's only been one other cold case, and that was the Pizza Hut murder of 1985. We need all the help we can. I mean, this should not happen to anyone. No one should lose their father this way. No one has been brought to justice for this, and we just want anyone out there to help us.
His sense of humor and his love of life, he gave that to all of his kids. Like, we laugh so much, And I have to say, since June 13th, that laughter has certainly, it's been extinguished a bit.